Hi, I'm Kevin Wessels, and I am a results leader.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
Yes, y'all. It's time once again for another ResultsLeader.fm. Welcome back. And I want to share a thought with you. I've seen this before, and it really was clear to me in today's interview. When you give things names, when you give systems, when you give processes names in your business, it makes you stand out and it makes you memorable. And that's one of the things I love about today's guest, Mr. Kevin Wessels. He's the managing director of Rev Sherpas, and he helps businesses grow and improve the customer experience. But you're going to see as we go through this, he has names for all his processes, and you will hear these names. They will be memorable, and you'll automatically think of Kevin. And I don't know, should I put it out there? I guess I can put it out there. He's got a couple names that just really popped out to me. The Client Connect TM. The other one was Market Domination Position and Rapid Fire Rebrand. I love all of this. This guy's a great marketer, a fun interview. Let's jump in. Kevin, welcome to the show. Good to see you again, brother.
Likewise, JR. Thanks for having me on today.
You ready to rock this thing?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's roll.
All right, let's give our listeners a super fast win. What book or books have you given most as a gift?
The number one book that I've given to friends, family, and colleagues actually is Above the Line by Urban Meyer, a former coach of Utah, Florida, Ohio State, and now with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even left out Bowling Green, where he had success too earlier on in his career. But he has always been one of my favorite coaches to watch. Naturally, his programs, wherever he's coached, have done really well. He's won a couple of titles. And what I like about that book is how it zooms in on the camaraderie, the importance of striving for perfection in all facets of the game. And it's gotten some good reviews from the people I've given it to.
Well, that is the first time I hear about that book. So how did that book find you?
Sure. Excellent question. So I'm a huge sports fan. So over the course of my career, not only am I following business trends, reading business books, but I'm just more drawn to books that are really written by successful coaches, not just Urban Meyer, John Wooden, Vince Lombardi, all the greats, Nick Saban. I just really enjoy reading those.
Yes. You gave us a couple extras there. Thank you for that. I want you to think back and tell me a story of how an apparent failure set you up for later success.
Sure. Well, I could go on and on, but let's just narrow it down to one, right? So it's an interesting question because it really depends on your perspective. Should you actually view it as a failure, provided that it did result in a turnaround and transformation and led to a success? My contention would be no. But at the time, absolutely. Sure, you were down, you were disappointed. And here's what comes to mind. So prior to launching my company due to COVID, I was let go, as were many others, right? But I didn't let that really impede my progress as an individual. I had considerations to stay in corporate America, but I thought this is an opportune time to really go all in and finally, once and for all, go out on my own, hang my own hat, and really start to add value and control my own destiny. So that would be the example that comes to mind.
Would you have done it if you hadn't lost your job?
I would have, just not as soon, because I had the entrepreneur itch for a while. I have over 20 years of experience in corporate America, primarily in management consulting and financial planning and analysis. So, I don't know if it would have occurred, in late 2019, but certainly by now it would have.
You got pushed out of the nest and made the best of it. I love it, man. So let's move on. let's talk about investments. And I'd like to know what is the most worthwhile investment you have ever made.
Sure. I'm big into equities, more traditional stock portfolios. I'm nevertheless, despite my age, I am pretty risk averse. And like most people, as I've gotten older, the risk tolerance goes down, right? But by no means am I going to advocate for cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. That's just not what I do. I haven't researched it. I haven't added it to my portfolio. I recognize that for some, it could represent an asset allocation that you need, but it's just not for me at this point in time. I'm still all in on equities. We've benefited from a tremendous bull run, really going back to I think March of 2009 is when the financial crisis started to turn around. We've been on a substantial upswing since then, and therefore, I'm still bullish. But for your listeners, absolutely have a diversified portfolio.
All right. So I'm not sure you answered my question. You gave me some legal speak and some jargon. But what I'm really asking you is what the most worthwhile investment you have ever made. And that could be college, that could be education, that could be your wife. I don't care about your portfolio.
Sure. So I liked what I just responded with. I apologize that I immediately gravitated towards, the stock market, but to spin it in from a different perspective for me personally, without going into specifics on my investment portfolio and citing a certain holding, a larger and longer term investment that I've made that really has benefited me was actually going to business school and getting my MBA.
I like to push a little bit,
I
see what
know.
else I can get. Uh, but I'm with you. I'm in equities as well. I don't. I have a very small holding in crypto because I don't understand it.
Right.
But I love the idea of educating yourself and then putting it to use. There's nothing better than that. So, in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Sure. The new belief that I've developed over the last couple of years that has resulted in substantial progress for me really is just waking up earlier. Because as you get older, as you have a family, as you're raising children, and simultaneously running a business, right? There's only so much time in the day. So, a lot of people will say, oh, as a business owner, you have to do what it takes, stay up, don't even go to sleep. You have so much to do. And I'm not a fan of that at all. I did try that when I was writing my first book. It's just not sustainable. However, what I did force myself to do is to wake up earlier. And so the question becomes, what am I doing? How am I maximizing my time once I do have more daylight? And so rather than jump in to my workday, I find that if I'm able to exercise, right after waking up, that allows me to not skip out when more distractions, evolve over the day, personal or business, right? And by exercising, it really just frees up my mind, makes me more energized, but at the same time, just more cool, calm, and collected as the day goes on, and I find myself overcome, adversity in a much easier fashion.
So what's your morning routine look like then? Because this is a question we get all the time is you wake up earlier, you do some exercise. Do you have a whole routine or is it the exercise and coffee and family?
Good question. So to elaborate, I'm going to wake up right around 6 or so, go for a jog, about 3 times a week. Maybe I'm doing some weight training in between there. If I can get to the driving range, I'll do it. It really depends on my client's schedule. I do have family commitments. So I really enjoy taking my kids to school, or now we're in the summer, right? So taking them to summer camp. So that is one of my daddy duties that I really take pride in. Then after that, once we're approaching 8:30, take a look at the big news headlines from the prior day and start prospecting. Besides prospecting, I really want to tackle my most critical activities that I've set out the night or week before. And to answer your prior question with a second answer. Another adjustment I've made is by focusing on the most pressing revenue generation activities at the beginning of my day. That has resulted in tremendous progress for me as well.
What would you say are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
A few come to mind. Many in my space, I am a business consultant. Part of what I do, it involves coaching, and there are many coaching gurus out there, or so-called gurus, that merely rely on social media, and they will promote the heck out of that. And for all of their clients who often are coming to them looking for help in the lead generation arena, and oftentimes are pretty desperate and overwhelmed and just need some guidance. Many coaches will say, hey, well, start advertising on Facebook, start advertising on Instagram, get affiliated with some sort of an influencer. And it doesn't work. The people that are good at that have been doing it for years. They're just not starting out, or they're very tech savvy. I'm not saying that I'm not a fan of advertising. Advertising does work, but what I do instead is really take a step back, and I help my clients, many of who are startup founders. Many are in the digital agency space. They already have the technical capabilities, but I help them master the business fundamentals. And if by doing that, that allows them not only to have success in the near term, but once they actually are having success from their more diverse business development capabilities, they then in turn are not limited by their growth. They're able to scale more quickly. So once they actually do have heightened demand and interest in their services, they're able to take that on and think more strategically, really to grow more effectively.
I got to hear more about this. I love this conversation. You said business development fundamentals. What does that mean?
So by business development, it's how do you actually develop business? Business referring to how are you bringing not necessarily revenue, but how are you bringing in leads? What is your overall qualification process to take it one step further? How do you conduct your discovery and strategy sessions? And then how do you actually convert those leads to a prospect, to an interested prospect, to ultimately a sale? So by business development, it could be a plethora of activities. I touched on social. I'm not saying don't completely, don't eliminate social. As you grow, it will be a pillar of your outreach. But besides that, what's your web presence? Do you get leads? Do you get sales from your website? Do you get it from landing pages? What networking groups are you a part of? Are you actually picking up the phone? So many people in this day and age hide behind their computer, right? Some might say that's a generational thing, and I think it is, but also COVID, one of the downfalls of it is that everyone got so comfortable just being at home and not having that face-to-face interaction. So many people are just hiding behind instant messages. And in a way, they forgot how to truly connect and relate and really cultivate those relationships. So all of the aforementioned activities should comprise your business development outreach strategy.
There's so much there. Thank you for that. And I was just thinking, as you said it, I was on an interview the other day and I had somebody ask me, well, what's the tool that you use the most? And he was hoping for an app or technology. And I said, I got this weird thing with numbers on it, and you punch them and somebody picks up on the other side, like the phone. What happened to the phone? People are afraid of the phone. And so you hit on that. I knew you were going to hit on it. I was just waiting for it. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a public service announcement. We're going to get right back into this show, but I wanted to ask you a question. If you have been listening to the show for any amount of time and you've picked up even one single tip, then I need your help. Get the word out. Tell people about resultsleader.fm. Share it on social media. Share it on your email. Share it anywhere. #ResultsLeaderFM. Now let's jump back into the interview.
Let's talk about results. Why do results matter?
So results really are what it's all about because it's the ultimate barometer. Are you in fact making progress? So to take a step back, how do you know if you are achieving results? First of all, you have to have your vision in place. What are you looking to achieve and set out to do? But what are your goals? And so how do you measure whether or not you're achieving your goals? You need to have well-defined metrics. And the most important ones would be your key KPIs, your key performance indicators. So many people think, oh, revenue is the only barometer, and that's hogwash because if you're not running a profitable business, you're not going to make any money, right? If you're spending, thousands and thousands of dollars every month on Facebook, and then they change their algorithm, and all of a sudden your lead flow dries up, your revenues are going to decline, and you've spent all those expenses, and you're going to certainly not be profitable, right? So, but I like to get more granular than just the overall, top line and bottom line figures. For instance, in terms of your sales, going back to calling and outreach, how many attempts does it take to actually find a lead? How many attempts does it take to convert that lead into a prospect once you've qualified them? How many demos, extensive presentations or proposals do you typically have to submit in order to officially win that business? Once you've actually welcomed them into your client family member, how long do they stay with you? All right. What is your average client lifetime value? What is your customer churn rate? Right. And so I'm not big just into the sales metrics. A key pillar of my proprietary Client Connect methodology really relates to how do you innovate and improve the overall customer experience as well.
In the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results for your clients?
Sure. This was a tough one for me. It took a little while, but it has applied to not just me, but it's been a trend that has taken off across corporate America and has trickled down into the small business entrepreneur space as well. But previously, the waterfall method of project management, not to get too technical here for your listeners, but often these huge software companies, for instance, in the ERP space, would work for months and months for defining requirements. And then they would actually design the solution based on the requirements that they received. And then they would develop the solution. But then, you're looking 9 months, 12 months later, and you roll out the solution to users, and the users are like, this doesn't look like what we told you we wanted, right? And so instead of the waterfall methodology, agile has become extremely popular. And I'm all about structure, I'm all about process, but agile is based on the premise that your preferences are actually going to change, and they really should, because if you are growing individually and as a business, if you are in fact evolving, if the market is evolving, you have to adapt and change with it, right? And so for me personally, while still containing and maintaining high standards and having sound structure and recurring methodologies in place, I've had to really adjust my mindset to say, hey, if something does change, it's okay. You just have to be more flexible and really be quicker to adapt.
What area of your business would you like better results?
The area of my business that I would like better results, I'd like to have less clients. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I really value and appreciate my client family members, but it's inevitable that I'm going to reach a point where, though I know my availability and my utilization, in order for me to still provide an optimal level of service to my clients so that they'll still pay, stay, and refer, I just feel that at some point I'm going to inevitably just be too busy, right? And so if I did in fact have a less number of clients who would be paying me more, right, and in turn would be receiving a higher personalized, more tailored level of service, I think that would be beneficial not just for myself but for my clients as well.
Kevin, what results are you most proud of?
Great question. A couple really stand out for me. The other day, one of my younger digital agency owners, he just, it was so apparent in the one-on-one consultation that we were doing that he finally got it. He had refined his marketing messaging. He finally, after working with me, had crafted a true market dominating position. So he wasn't a cookie cutter. He actually stood out from his peers because, let's face it, the digital marketing space is extremely crowded and competitive. And he actually had success in recent prospecting discussions. He had previously hadn't had a problem of bringing in leads. He just was struggling to really close them and convert them. And so as a result of working with me, it was clear that his pipeline was more full, and he actually was far more confident than he was, just 60 days prior. A larger example of another engagement that I'm very proud of based on the results that we brought in. This was for a nonprofit, and for years their membership had been declining. But by altering their pricing structure, by making their marketing communication more timely and relevant, and essentially giving them a rapid fire rebrand, they were able to boost attendance going into their annual conference, which they held in the spring. And now they're on track to more than double their membership for this year. And more importantly, they have a membership model in place now that really is going to propel their growth going forward.
And any parting thoughts you'd like to share with the results leaders out there who are listening to us right now?
Sure. So, like you said, it is all about results. The whole point of business really is to deliver results to your customers. And a great way to gain some insight on how you might be able to accelerate your results and how you can really rev up the amount of value that you're adding to your clients, and really propel your business practice or agency forward, is to go to my website at revsherpas.com. Right at the top, there is a free ebook download. It's my first book, entitled Exponentially Outperform in Any Economy. And it shares with you the 8 fundamental building blocks of revenue generation strategies. Regardless of your size, you don't have to just be a solopreneur. If you are, it's a huge win and a great read for you. But these, in reality, are strategies that even Fortune 500 companies are consistently executing every day to get results.
Dig it, man. So thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us today. Thank you, results leaders, for tuning in. And we will be back in your earbuds next time. And just a quick reminder, we will have links to Kevin in the show notes as well, so you can go and connect with him. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, JR.
That is a wrap for another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to ResultsLeader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard.
This is the podcastfactory.com.